Hey horror movie fans and DVD collectors, SHG23 here again for another DVD update video. Got some really cool stuff, really excited about this one today. Before I get started, I just want to say thank you for everyone that watched the first two videos. I got some good feedback, some good comments. I just like to make a note that I'll try and, keep it so it's not so many jump cuts. But so let's get started. All right. First up here, let's start with some non-horror. How I Met Your Mother, the 8th season. I'm a big fan of the show. I know the show just ended like a couple months ago, back in March, I believe it was. But I never watched the new episodes. I always wait for the DVD releases so I can watch them. I always wait for the DVD releases, so pretty excited for that. All right, these next four I actually got picked up at a flea market for $2 each. This was pretty awesome. Flea market's always a bit of a gamble, but this time it actually kind of paid off. First up, Criterion Spine 54 For All Mankind. This is essentially a documentary about the Apollo 11, I believe. The Apollo 11 moon landing and space mission. About the Apollo 11 mission. Yes, so that's Criterion. $2 for a Criterion release, that's pretty damn good. And plus, that's one of the out of prints. I think it was also re-released, so I might have to pick up the re-release because I like those. I like the newer Criterion releases with the C and the. I think they have better spines. Just everything. The design of them are just way better. So yeah. All right. Also, Excalibur. Got that also at the flea market for $2. This is a 1981 film, and actually the main reason I picked this up is because of the actor who played Merlin. He was also you may remember him. He was in a Blue Underground release of Venom. He played the cop, the head detective in that movie. He was also in the movie Spawn. He was the guy who taught the Hellspawn character essentially how to use the suit. Well, that actor, I think his name's Nicole Williamson, plays Merlin. And this also has some other notable actors in it. Patrick Stewart's in it. Liam Neeson's in it. Gabriel Byrne's. Clive Swift, for all of you Keeping Up Appearances and Old Guys fans. So yes. That's like just a King Arthur movie, Knights of the Round Table, Holy Grail type kind of movie, all those elements. So if you like that kind of medieval stuff, Excalibur's a pretty good movie. I liked it. You gotta watch it. Oh, another one. This is why this was really what caught my eye when I was at the flea market. This is a really exciting pickup, and that's Magnolia, the 2-disc edition. I don't know much about this movie other than it's a Paul Thomas Anderson film. It's kind of like the movie Crash. If you've ever seen Crash, that's the movie with like Don Cheadle, not the Cronenberg Crash. I forget who directed it, but it's got like Kevin Dillon and Don Cheadle. Ludacris is in it. Brendan Fraser's in it, and it's like that in the sense that there are multiple story threads that either intersect throughout the progression of the film. I know Tom Cruise, William H. Macy, Julianne Moore, John C. Reilly, and Philip Seymour Hoffman are all in this. The only storyline I remember hearing about was the one, I don't even remember the actor's name, but it was essentially about a dying game show host. And I think that's like the central thread that somehow connects them all together, I believe. Don't quote me on that because I have not watched it yet. Now this was a pretty interesting, a pretty good pickup. I was pretty excited to see this because I believe this is the out-of-print edition. Yes, and that's the 1976 Brian De Palma Carrie. So that was pretty cool. That was a pretty good pickup. Carrie, I really don't need to explain. Carrie, Stephen King, teenage girl, picked on, psychokinetic powers. I hope I said that right. Psychokinetic, is that it? Telekinetic, something of that nature. Yeah, you know the story. I don't even need to really explain it. Okay, so that's the $2 flea market pickups. Something else I got recently, actually a brain damage release. You know those high quality brain damage releases. Abomination. Apparently this is actually a sequel. I think its real title is Abomination the Evil Maker 2. I've not seen the Evil Maker 1, but yeah, it's a brain damage film. It's not the best, but if you like shitty movies, hey, it's, yeah. Essentially, it's just about a woman whose sister, I think she either dies or goes missing, and it's just, you know, it's, I mean, I'm kind of making it sound generic here, but then again, it really is kind of generic. Sister either dies or goes missing, and it's just like the, she tries to, you know, solve what happened, what, you know, where, like, what, I think the sister died. No, she went missing. I'm positive she went missing, and the sister's just trying to solve what happened, and it leads her down a dark path of darkness and sex-crazed demons, it says. So, Abomination, brain damage release. What more can I say? Yes, another interesting pickup. The explicit uncut version of Joe D'Amato's Erotic Nights of the Living Dead. The only reason I know about this film is because of I read about it. It was part of the list. It was number 1 on a list of, I think, like, the list was something about, like, gratuitous nudity in horror movies. It was a list that was in part of a book that was, like, I think it's called the Big Book of Horror list, which is just, you know, if you ever see it, it's a pretty good read. It's not just movies, it's like horror that spans all mediums, but mostly movies, but there is like literature and comic books and even music and other odds and ends as well. So yes, Erotic Nights of the Living Dead. The description of this movie in that book was just so hilarious. I had to pick it up. Story-wise, it's, from what I can gather, it's about a guy who buys a hotel on an island, I believe. He either buys a hotel on an island or he actually buys the island and wants to fix up a hotel, something of that nature. And I guess it's kind of like Poltergeist, and like there's like the dead start to rise, and it's, I'm sorry, I don't know much about it. I just know it's guy, island, hotel, dead start to rise, genital warts. That's all I know about this movie. Oh, and it was directed by the auteur, Joe D'Amato. Yes, Joe D'Amato. Ooh, this was also another interesting pickup. I found out about this, actually I probably wouldn't have picked this up had I not found out about it thanks to a video I actually watched by, hold on, it was Your Horror Collection and You, I believe it was. You and Your Horror Collection, sorry. You and Your Horror Collection, another YouTuber, sent me, I was talking to him briefly, he sent like a comment in one of the videos, and I found out about him through a comment in one of the earlier videos, so hey, how's it going? And I found his channel, and I watched his oldies package update review, and I actually found out about this through that video. And that is the Thrills and Chills Volume 3 4-pack of, we got The Craft, Monster High, Fright Night, and Brain Scan. The reason I picked this up is because of Brain Scan. He talked pretty highly of it, and it seems pretty interesting. It's kind of, it almost seems like an 80s, no, it's like a 90s version of Stay Alive, I think, but that's almost like bad to say because Stay Alive was terrible. You know, but you know, it sounds pretty interesting. Like that's just a general way of like that's what it sounds like. I don't know a whole lot about it. I don't know if you can tell, but I do a lot of blind buys. So yeah, that seemed pretty interesting, and I saw it and I had to pick it up. So You and Your Horror Movie Collection, thanks for letting me know about this. Yeah, so thanks. And let's see. So let me talk about these real quick. The Craft. It's about these 3 teenage girls who are witches, and they meet this other girl who's like the new girl in school, and she happens to also be a witch, but I think she's like a natural witch, and it just goes through them forming a coven, and rise and downfall of that coven. Monster High, I believe, is a parody that parodies like 1980s horror and slasher movies, I believe. Parody that... Yeah, it's a parody... This is a terrible synopsis. I'm just going to read the synopsis. Monster High is a horror film parody that begins in the office of Monster in Charge. I'm going to pronounce this wrong. Sorry. Siderum Dominus Hectophantasmagonia, a faceless being with gangster mannerisms. Checking a list of planets scheduled for destruction, he finds Earth's demise has been mysteriously postponed. Monster High. Also, like I said, Fright Night. I don't think I really need to go into Fright Night. I'm sure all you good people know the story of Fright Night. And Brain Scan. That's the one I was pretty interested about. When a lonely teenager orders the latest interactive video game, the high-tech wizardry penetrates his subconscious, where his darkest impulses lead him through a deadly maze of murder, deception, and desire. Pursued by a homicide detective and prodded by the trickster, he is torn between the worlds of good and evil, reality and fantasy, and ultimately of life and death. Yeah, that sounds a lot better than Stay Alive, but I didn't know how else to describe it. So, Brain Scanned, Monster High, Fright Night, and The Craft. Can't wait to check out those. All right, next up, an OOP, an out of print that had completely fallen off my radar for, I remember like 6 or 7 years ago, I saw like the first 5 minutes of this on TV, and after that it just completely fell off my radar. And I'd like to thank NES Ruler 22 for reminding me about this film. Actually, thanks for reminding me that this existed. I don't think I would have picked it up had you not reminded me about it, so thanks again. And the movie is The Rage Carrie 2. For the most part, from what I understand, it's essentially the story of Carrie, a teenage high school girl who's picked on and the victim of a prank, who takes her revenge through psychokinetic powers she has, or telekinetic. I'm not sure what the proper term is, but it's essentially like the story of Carrie, but with new characters. So, yeah. Yes. Blue Underground release. Once again, one I know nothing about. Although I do know for some reason this has been on my Film Aficionado list for some time. I use Film Aficionado to like keep a list of the movies I plan on getting. So, yes. Dead and Buried. Yes. Something very strange is happening in the coastal village of Potter's Bluff, where tourists and transients are warmly welcomed, then brutally murdered. But even more shocking is in these normal, slain strangers suddenly reappear as normal, friendly citizens around town. Now the local sheriff and the eccentric mortician must uncover the horrific secret of a community where some terrifying traditions are alive and well, and no one is really dead and buried. Oh, that sounds pretty cool. You never go wrong with a nice Blue Underground release. Ah, yes. Okay. Next up, we have the 25th anniversary edition of The House on Sorority Row. From what I understand, I think this was one of the movies that was lumped in as like a Slumber Party Massacre ripoff, or at least, or it was like thrown in with like Sorority House Massacre, which was lumped in as a Slumber Party Massacre ripoff. I think it was. I can't be sure. But essentially, it's the story about these these college girls, sorority sisters, who are graduating, and they're throwing one last party to celebrate the end of the year, and apparently they start getting picked off, traditional slasher movie style, and it appears that the killer wears a jester's mask, so that seems pretty cool. Like, like in Slaughter High. That's an interesting one. All right, next up we have another 25th anniversary edition release. This one by Shriek Show, and that is Lucio Fulci's Zombie 2, or Zombie if you prefer. I think it's more known as Zombie 2 though. Yes. I am surprised I have not seen this before. Yes. Ooh, yes. I don't know. I just never, it's never picked it up for some reason. Now I have it, so really looking forward to it. Lucio Fulci's Zombie 2. I don't think I really need to go into the story behind it. And again, I don't really even know what the story behind it is. I know like it's supposed to be like a quasi-sequel to George Romero's Dawn of the Dead. Alright, continuing with the Shriek Show release, I got a box set here. The Zombie pack, and that has Zombies 3, 4, and 5. I don't know if you remember, but from one of my earlier two videos, I actually had I gotten the same thing from I think it was Hamilton Books. I actually sold that and used the money to actually buy this because that was a I forget what they call it when you take like a box set and shrink it down to just like one box. I forget what that's called. There's a term for it, but I don't particularly care for that. Like I like to have the individual. Like I prefer the box as opposed to like the 4-pack or something of that nature, because especially with like these movies, because I really like all these covers. Are these Freddy's eyes from Dream Warriors? Sorry about the glare, but I don't know. I think they are. Maybe that's, who knows. But like I was saying, I like to have the individual ones, and plus, especially with these, it was a no-brainer. I love these covers, so that was a no-brainer trade in. Or upgrade. Alright, moving on, the last three, these are the ones I'm most excited for. These are also the ones I'm probably going to talk the least about. I'm actually on a real Lynchian kick right now. I read his book a couple of weeks ago, Catching the Big Fish, Creativity, Meditation, and Consciousness, or something like that. Those words may be mixed around. But I'm on a huge Lynchian kick right now. I love David Lynch. Alright, and so what we got here is Blue Velvet. Yes, the special edition MGM release. Blue Velvet. Lost Highway. Just a side note, the person who co-wrote this with David Lynch, Barry Gifford, who also wrote Wild at Heart, which was co-wrote the script for Wild at Heart, which was another Lynch film. Barry Gifford is a author. Actually, Wild at Heart is based off of a book that's part of a larger series of Barry Gifford's work. Like I was saying, Barry Gifford, I actually got the chance to meet him back in, I believe it was March. I was volunteering at a Story Week event in Chicago, and the event I so happened to volunteer for was a Q&A with Barry Gifford, so I got to meet him. He's a really nice guy, and it was just a really, really cool experience to meet a great author and screenwriter. So, Lost Highway, David Lynch, Barry Gifford, I expect great things. This is probably the one I'm most excited for, because of all the Lynch films, this is the first one. I think this is either the only one or the one of two that Roger Ebert actually liked. And you know, I don't put much stock in what critics think, but just a side note, this is the only one that this is one of the only ones that Roger Ebert actually liked and gave 4 stars to. I'm really excited for this one. Once again, know very little about it. The most I know about this is I saw the trailer, and that is Mulholland Drive. So that's pretty interesting. Can't wait to check that out. So that's everything. So, thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the video. I had a good time. I hope you had a good time as well. So, have a good night. ginger ale, for any of you that were wondering.